Exactly. We also have a social media psychologist in the loft today who's going to be chatting to us about the psychological implications of that whole social media space. And of course, we have Jared Doyle, a celebrity publicist, who chats to us about the implications of using social media as a marketing tool, because there are risks involved. Yeah.
And it's not just us, we also have another social media addict in the loft, and that's Bonang.
You got that right. Good afternoon, South Africa. My name is Bonang Machiba. I'm in the kitchen. Imagine that. Welcome to Afternoon Express. We are live right here on SABC3. I am in the kitchen. We're not alone. Hannah is here. She's going to tell us what we're making today. I'm very excited. Tell me.
Well, today we're making banana and buttermilk flapjacks, the ultimate, best
And
ever.
I saw honeycomb there somewhere. What is that for?
Well, it's actually going to be on top of the pancakes or maple syrup, but they're both equally addictive. So lots of addictive things.
Lots of addictive things. All right, make sure that you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. It's all about social media today. And if you do want the recipe and, of course, the method of how to make all our delicious recipes this afternoon, log on to our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. But a little bit later, we're also going to be making a creme brulee with strawberry puree. So stick around for that. It really is going to be delish. We are live. Get calling us. Our number is 083-913-3728. And tweet us at Afternoon Chat. Use our official hashtag, Afternoon Express. But let's get the show on the road. Jeannie is in the lounge with our very first guest.
The social media age has brought the world together in a way we've never seen before in history. At the touch of a screen, we can communicate and share information with anyone across the globe instantly. But with this amount of power comes a great deal of responsibility. What are our rights with regards to freedom of speech, and what potential consequences result in sharing information across social media platforms? Joining us in the loft is media law consultant and author Emma Sadler, whose expertise lie in print and electronic media law, with a strong focus on social media law. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you so much for coming through. Now, firstly, I read your book when it first came out because it's possibly one of the most important books that anyone who has any kind of social media platform, they need to read this. Why did you decide to write it?
Well, I think that there's a desperate ignorance amongst many social media users. You know, you're in the media, you know that there are limits to your right to freedom of expression, and we all have the right to freedom of expression. It's a fundamental constitutional right. But we don't have unlimited freedom of expression. You know, we don't have a position in South Africa that we could have, you know, child pornography on the front page of the newspaper, because there are instances where my right to freedom of expression can be limited. And that's usually because it comes into conflict with your right to privacy, your right to dignity, your right to reputation. So it's a very difficult balancing act. Where do my rights begin and your rights begin, and where do we balance those out? So I think that people just really need to start appreciating that as soon as you publish something on social media, then in the eyes of the law, that content is treated as if you'd published it on the front page of the newspaper. There is absolutely no difference in the laws that apply to what you and I say now on telly for the next hour, and what I'm saying on a WhatsApp group to 5 people, what I'm saying on Facebook to 500 people, what I'm saying on Twitter to 50,000 people.
Yeah, I loved what you said, that if you're going to post something online, you should be prepared to have your face on a billboard with your quote on it so that everybody can see.
I think it's the best rule of thumb. Would you be prepared to have what you're about to say? And I used to go around giving these talks about if you wouldn't put it on a massive billboard next to your face, next to the name of your company that employs you, or if you're a child, the name of your school, and your name, if you wouldn't put it next to that content on a billboard next to a very busy highway, then don't say it online. But my message has changed, because my message now is don't let it exist in digital format.
Exactly.
Because we've got to start realizing how
dangerous.
dangerous...
Does that include WhatsApping?
Yeah, absolutely, because we've got to appreciate how dangerous digital content is. You know, you and I are WhatsApping. It's just the two of us in the conversation. But what's stopping you from taking a screenshot and sending it on to Bonnie? And the next thing, it's on Instagram or it's been tweeted, and everybody sees it. I might have a privacy claim against you, but the fact is it's out of my control. And we've seen that time and time again, where people have turned around and said, oh, but this was on my private Facebook page, this was my private Instagram account. It doesn't matter. The harm has been done.
So how much trouble can we get into with what we say, and how protected are we?
Yeah, so I think that people need to start educating themselves. You know, we see a lot of people being sued for defamation, and defamation just means you hurt somebody else's reputation. Now, I can do that, provided I can defend what I'm saying, that it's true, that it's for the public benefit. If I'm reviewing maybe a restaurant or a hotel that I've stayed in, I've got to show that those comments were honestly made, that I'm not motivated by malice. Because as soon as I go and write a hotel review on TripAdvisor, and it turns out that I just own the hotel next door and I'm just trying to bring down their reputation, then I don't have a defense of truth and public interest. So we see a lot of people being sued for defamation. We're seeing a lot of people being fired. Many, many people.
Really?
So many people.
Give us an example.
Oh, I mean, every day the CCMA hears cases, and there are two big categories of where people are getting it wrong. I think the first is where you bring your company into disrepute. So you do something where it looks bad that the company hires you. You say something racist, homophobic, xenophobic. You're filmed doing something illegal, maybe taking drugs or, I don't know, a vicious road rage attack. Anything where it looks bad that the company is happy to hire you. Maybe you're accused of domestic violence, for example.
Exactly.
The other big category is where people breach the duty of good faith. It sounds like legalese. It just basically means you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You can't go home and talk about how much you hate your job and how much you hate your boss and how incompetent your organization is and how your customers are the most irritating people in the whole world, even if it's totally true. Even if you've got all the information and all the evidence to show that what you're saying is totally true, because you can't bring your organization, you can't breach the duty of good faith that you owe your organization. So literally every single day, the CCMA hears cases where people have been fired or disciplined because of what they're putting on social media or what they're putting into digital format, which lands up in social media. And it's not just what you're uploading, because this is what I think we need to really establish, is that we've all become celebrities in the digital age. I mean, you're used to going to a place and people wanting to take photographs of you and being conscious that you can't do anything that you wouldn't want other people to be taking photographs of.
Exactly.
And I think we've all got to learn how to treat ourselves like celebrities. We've got to make sure that when we're doing something that we wouldn't necessarily want our boss to see and everyone is taking photos of us, it's learning to say, I don't want you to take that photo.
Exactly.
Don't let that content exist. Treat yourself like a celebrity.
And it's quite fascinating for me because this is all so new. So how is the law changing to protect everybody? Because, I mean, we don't really know exactly how big social media... I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, I think the point is that as soon as you've got an internet connection, you have instant access to an international, public, permanent platform.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very big responsibility, because once it's out there, it's out there. You think something in the heat of the moment and you put it on social media. And we just saw somebody fired in America. They tweeted something, deleted it after 14 seconds, and they were fired, because that's how permanent the internet is. It was so stupid. This person had access to his personal account and his professional account. He was the spokesperson for a politician on Capitol Hill. And he tweeted, "Me like he broke girls." You know that sitcom, Two Broke Girls?
Yes.
And he tweeted that, and he accidentally tweeted it from his professional account, not
That
his
happens a
personal
lot,
account.
actually.
It really does. And we also see a lot of drunk tweeting going on. If you're going out drinking, then don't be tweeting.
Don't touch your phone.
Anything that compromises your sentence. In the heat of the moment, when people are very angry, you see them upload this kind of content on social media. So I think that's a very big lesson, is whenever you get that, I call it the jump in the tummy test, very scientific tests these, the billboard test and the jump in the tummy test. The jump in the tummy test is just, you know the feeling. You're about to post something and you just think, maybe I shouldn't do that. Then just give yourself 5 minutes, because there are 5 minutes that you just don't get back. And if you look to sort of 10 years ago, if I wanted to have my opinion published on a public platform, the only option that was available to me was to write a letter to the editor of a newspaper.
Exactly.
I suppose I could have phoned in to the TV show, but you know, it really was that, it was so difficult to have your opinion heard, and now we've all got that instant access
Everyone
at the
has
touch
an
of a
opinion.
button.
It's like a belly button. Emma, we're going to be right back with you in a little while. After the break, Bonang makes us banana flapjacks, and we continue the conversation with Emma Sadler. Remember, we are live, so give us a call on 083 913 3728 if you have a question for any of our experts about social media. We'll be right back after this.
Show them how much you love them with Bob Martin.
Welcome back. We're still live. You're watching Afternoon Express right here on SABC3. We are in the kitchen. Hannah is back. And today we're making something very, very delicious. We're making flapjacks today, right?
Yes, definitely.
Different kind of flapjacks.
Yes, buttermilk, buttermilk and banana, my favorite kind, yeah.
All right, so what do we need? Let's get going.
So basically, we can start with 3 mashed up bananas. I like to use a hand blender just so that it's nice and smooth. Unless, if you like it more chunky, you can mash it with a fork. But yeah, so basically, we're gonna add our flour. So it's just over like 2 cups of flour to it. It's really simple. And then, if you don't mind to pour in the buttermilk for me, that would be amazing.
All right, how much buttermilk do you need?
We need 2 cups for the amount of flour. So it's kind of like there's a rule, like 1 egg, like 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of milk. That generally gives you.
Is that one?
No, you can pour it all in there.
Pour it all in there.
500 mils is 2 cups, so that's great. And then I've got some butter, just because it makes everything better, and a little bit of vanilla extract or essence, whatever you've got around. And then we can just give that a bit of a stir.
And how many flapjacks does this make then? Well, depending obviously on the size of the flapjacks, I guess.
Yeah, well, I suppose it depends who you're feeding and stuff, but this would feed about like 6 of my friends, I think, on a Sunday morning.
All right.
Yeah,
do you want me to help you with that?
I think we can I've actually made some batter earlier because I know that this takes quite a bit of arm effort. So I like to use a little bit of, sorry, I'm just going to turn it on. I like to use a little bit of butter instead of oil because it just adds a nice like saltiness. So you can just add some into the pan, and then we'll just let that melt in there. And you can add a spoonful of that if you like.
A spoonful of this.
Yes.
All right.
It's quite
very
thick
though, Hannah.
Yes, but flapjacks are kind of thicker than so pancakes are like generally the thinner.
Is that enough?
You can put a little bit more. So basically, it doesn't really grow a lot bigger. So as the size as you want it, you can smooth it out a bit.
Smooth it like...
Yeah, and then that's perfect. So then you basically...
and then you just leave it there?
100%. So as soon as it starts making beautiful little bubbles on top and it goes golden on the edges, then you know you're good to go. So, but I've actually, like as I say, all good cooking programs, we've made it before. So we made it before the time. So this is generally what you want them to look like.
That
beautiful,
looks
golden.
Delicious.
Yes.
All right.
So we kind of made them with buttermilk, so that gives them that nice, like fluffy, like texture and moistness and stuff.
We don't want this to burn, huh?
No, we don't want that to burn. And then I like to serve mine with honeycomb. It's kind of my treat, like from a farmer's market.
I was going to ask you, why honeycomb? Why not honey or something easier to find?
It is. Well, maple syrup is actually easier to find, obviously, from Woolies. But this is just like more of a treat if you want to. But
that's divine. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of maple syrup here.
Yes.
On the
go big or go home. Huh?
On the corner.
Yes.
All right, and obviously this recipe is on the Taste magazine. It's a new look Taste magazine. This is fabulous, very nostalgic looking.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's exactly the look we're going for. So it's with our new editor-in-chief, Kate Wilson. She's amazing. We're having lots of fun in the magazine with her. And this is kind of like our rejuvenated new look. And we've got other stories, like we're reviving the art of Sunday lunch with Selati from Freshly Ground. So you can find that in there. And also, Abigail made the most amazing, like, ultimate grilled cheese sandwich with a maple twist. Yes.
That sounds delicious. So that's all in the brand new look Taste magazine. And talking about Taste magazine, actually, we're giving you a chance to win one of 3 one-year subscriptions to Taste magazine. Simply SMS the keyword taste, your name and city to 33728 and automatically be entered into the competition. And do remember, SMSs cost R1.50. T's and C's apply and are available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Obviously, this incredible recipe is also on our website, right, Hannah?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
Going to eat. I mean, the flapjacks, you can have them any time of the day, right? It doesn't have to be breakfast.
100%.
All right.
I think it's actually better if it's dinner.
Yeah, and we're going to dollop some ice cream there, Hannah, so let's get going. But let's go straight to Jeannie in the lounge as she continues her convo with Emma.
Thanks, Bonang. We are discussing one of my favourite topics of conversation, social media with Emma Sadler. Now, how anonymous, because we get so many trolls on social media, when somebody hasn't put much of their personal information on, how anonymous are they really?
I think this is one of the great myths of social media, is that people can be anonymous. And I think it's such a dangerous fallacy that when you go online, you can be somebody who you don't want to be. Yes. And we see it particularly with the children at schools. I do a lot of work with schools. And one of the biggest issues there is cyberbullying. And I think that there are 3 reasons that it's got so much worse. The first is that it's anonymous. You know, people can create these fake accounts to bully.
And people are so confident bashing away at their keyboards to say something nasty.
We know how much easier it is to say to your phone something really ugly rather than to say to the face of a crying person, whoever it is. So I think that's one of the biggest problems. And I think that people really need to appreciate that it's very difficult to be anonymous on social media.
Yeah.
Every time you go online, you get assigned something called an IP address, an Internet Protocol address. And that is incredibly identifying. It tells you where the person is, what kind of device that content came from, and usually you can find out exactly who's behind any content, even if they've created these fake accounts. The technical guys are genius. So we've got an illustration, actually, and it's a brilliant one. It's where a girl created this account, and she didn't use her real name, and she sent a tweet to American Airlines, basically saying that she was part of Al-Qaeda and that she was going to do something really big on June the 1st. So American Airlines saw this, and they just replied saying, we take these threats very seriously, and your IP address and details will be forwarded to security and the FBI. And she had an absolute heart attack. I think we've got a visual of her reaction. OMFG, I was kidding. I'm so sorry, I'm scared now. I was joking, it was my friend, not me. Take her IP address, not mine.
Why would somebody joke about something like that?
Well, I think we see some crazy jokes on social media. And also when people get it wrong, the first reaction is usually, I was kidding, I was joking, or it was my friend, not me. My account was hacked, I was fraped, my account was compromised in some way.
Yeah.
And I think people really need to start appreciating that you can't joke about sensitive topics on social media, because when you put something online, you lose context, you lose tone, and you lose control over your audience. What you and I will find funny is not what's going to be funny to somebody on the other side of the planet.
And it's not a child's toy chat room. There can be, global, repercussions, I suppose.
Absolutely.
For
and I think the tone is an important one. You know, what I say to you now, you can tell if I'm joking, but I put that in text and I see it within the four corners of the tweet. I don't have context. I don't know what your tone is. So I think as a rule, be careful about joking about race, about bombs, and about rape. I think those are the three things in the South African context that you've got to be very careful joking about. We've seen so many people being fired for making jokes on social media, which you just can't joke about. There are some things you just can't joke about.
Exactly. Now, I mean, it's all fair and well if you don't say anything. I mean, I love to read through everybody's posts and everybody's opinions, but what happens if I like somebody's opinion that's a bad opinion, or I like a bad story, or I share something?
Yeah. So we have a very important legal principle that we call the chain of publication, which simply means that every single person in the chain of publishing illegal content can be held responsible. So a pretty easy way of remembering it is if you have the ability to delete something, or if you have the ability to dissociate yourself from something, you're in the chain of publication. So we have law that says if you have a Facebook page, you're responsible for every single word that appears on that page. It doesn't matter who put it there. Well, I mean, if you've got a fan page and you've got a lot of content on that page, it sounds very onerous. So the law says if you haven't seen it, you're not responsible for it. But the second you see that content, somebody phones you and says, have you seen what this person's put on your page? You're responsible for it. And the judge in that case said that it's like having a big green felt notice board if you have a Facebook page, and you encourage members of the public to come and stick scrappy pieces of paper on that page.
Yeah.
She said because you have the ability to go and delete anything you don't like, anything that stays there you're responsible for. If you have an Instagram picture and somebody comments something racist or just very
I delete all of them. I've got no space in my life for that
Exactly,
negativity.
block the person and delete the comment. And the point is, as soon as you have editorial control, as soon as you have the ability to delete, and you don't, you're in the chain of publication. So we've got case law now that says if you like something, you're in the chain of publication, you're associating yourself. If you favorite something, you're in the chain of publication. If you retweet something, you're definitely responsible for it. If you share something on Facebook, you're responsible for it. We saw it recently with Diane Kohler-Barnard and the DA, sharing something on Facebook and facing quite serious disciplinary action. The most interesting case we've had in South Africa was a case of tagging. And what happened was there was a couple who got divorced, and the ex-husband got remarried to a new wife. New wife went onto Facebook, wrote something horribly defamatory about the ex-wife. Doesn't directly refer to her, calls her that woman, but everyone knows who that woman is, and basically accuses her of being a paedophile. Now, the interesting part is that the new wife, in writing this ugly status, tagged her husband, who was the ex-husband of the person she was talking about, right?
Yes.
The husband doesn't do anything. He doesn't like the status. He doesn't comment on it. He doesn't share it. But crucially, he doesn't go and untag himself. So the judge said that the husband was as responsible as his wife because he could have taken steps to dissociate himself.
Exactly.
Hadn't done so, was allowing himself to be aligned in the chain of publication, and was as legally responsible for that post as his wife.
Wow, that is absolutely intense. We've got to be so careful about what we put online. Thank you so much for chatting to us. We're going to be back with you on the couch. You're staying the whole show. Today we're giving away one signed copy of Emma Sadler's book. Here it is. Don't film yourself having sex, and other legal advice for the age of social media. Simply SMS the keyword books, your name and city to 33728. SMSs cost R1.50 each. T's and C's apply and are available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. After the break, we're discussing the effects of social media on our psychological well-being, as well as the marketing benefits or risks involved. We'll be right back.
Sustainable fishing that leaves fish for the future. Are you with us?
Welcome back to Afternoon Express here on SABC3. Now, we've discussed the legal risks involved in social media, but what about the psychological risks? An obsession with selfies, Facebook stalking, online bullying, all of these are real issues people face in the age of social media. And joining us to help better understand some of these conditions is psychologist William Griffith. Welcome, William.
Thank you.
Why is social media so addictive?
I think social media allows us to project a fantasy of ourselves into a space that's not necessarily reality. I think it makes us part of other people's lives. We feel closer to people. I can even befriend you on Facebook and suddenly you are my best friend.
My best friend, yeah. And can you tell when you are now using social media as a way of happiness or relying on it for your happiness or to feel better about yourself?
I think it's a good question. It links up with when is it enough and when is it too much. And I think the easiest way, if one looks at the diagnostic criteria for psychopathology, one has this concept of when it influences your interpersonal, social and professional life to an extent where you cannot function. I think social media, with that, one can identify it then that if it interferes with your life, that you cannot live a normal life, that you tend to spend more time talking to your Facebook friends and missing out with real life people.
How much is a healthy time, say, daily, to spend on social media?
I think that's the golden question. We're spending an hour show on it today. So I don't think it is. I think it relies on that one needs to have the maturity to realize it's impairing your ability to function as an adult, as a person in your life. So, yes.
Wow. And what about the selfie obsession? Are we feeding the narcissistic condition?
I think narcissistic condition is it's a developmental condition. It's there from childhood. It fosters because of certain traumatic attachments. And the essence of the narcissist condition is mirroring. One needs to be mirrored. I need to see in your eyes that you approve of what I'm saying, what I'm doing. And I think if one extends that onto the internet, people, onto Facebook, for example, someone will post a picture of themselves, and after an hour, if they don't get enough likes, suddenly they decompensate, start crying, delete that photo, put on another one. So I think that's the narcissistic element. But on the other hand, narcissism is not just bad. It's also this healthy narcissism where if a lady has a good haircut, or if that's the name, she can put that selfie of herself and her friends can comment, you look nice, you look that. But if one has this narcissistic need to be mirrored the whole time, it can complicate your social media activities.
What about issues like Facebook stalking? When is it okay to look at your ex-boyfriend's page and see who he's dating now? And when do you know that you actually have a stalking problem?
I think it probably, I think, again, it reflects on how much it impairs your ability. If you sit with coffee and biscuits every evening going through his Facebook lying, then it's impairing your ability to function.
And trolling his new girlfriend, And what about online bullying? When can you tell that you're now being bullied? And how can children specifically protect themselves from online bullying?
I think online bullying, I think specifically with children, I think it's parents' duty to protect children from that. I think one needs to realize that you don't suddenly get bullied on the internet. I think it's something that has a cause. It starts somewhere. Children that are primarily bullied on let's say, Instagram, where people make negative comments, those are kids that's bullied within the class, within the peer group. So I think it's usually to go back to the source and to address it there. A child doesn't just get bullied on internet. It usually starts in the classroom within that peer group of friends.
And myself as an adult, how do I know when I'm being bullied now on social media? And what measures can I take to protect myself?
I think the answer would probably be easy. Is if one feels uncomfortable, if one is upset by what is
feeling threatened and unsafe,
and unsafe, then I think one needs to. There's a lawyer that spoke here today. I think then one addresses the professional people to assist you in this and managing your own emotions and talking to somebody about it.
Do you think in general, socially, we're just becoming more insular and we're talking less with each other? Because you can find a whole table of friends on their phones and not talking to each other.
Yes, I think that is the reality. There's a concept called the schizoid dynamic to personality, where one tends to enter into yourself and live in fantasy. And I think that is what one does if you are on phones, is that one is entering a space where you are withdrawing from from others, where you are living within yourself. So yes, I think there is no reality in that.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I mean, we could talk about this all day. But let's join Bonang in the kitchen, and she's chatting branding and social media.
Thank you so very much. Now, social media is probably the most powerful branding and communications tool in the modern age. Joining me, celebrity publicist and communication strategist Jared Doyle, who specializes in marketing celebrities and companies. Welcome to The Loft. A very important topic we're discussing today, right?
Yes, a very, very, very important topic. And it kind of like merges my two worlds together. So I'm really excited.
Exactly. Now, Jared, let's get straight into it. What is the difference between, traditional PR and social media PR, if there's any difference at all?
Well, there's a major difference. The traditional PR, they look at more above the lines, kind of like print, television, radio, that kind of thing. And then social media PR is kind of where any individual can actually brand themselves on social media. Anybody has the potential to be the next big thing, actually, just in terms of their social media content. So traditional PR agencies need to kind of catch up with the times now and start recognizing that there is a lot of potential on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that. I mean, from bloggers and people on Instagram, fashionistas making money from just, posts. And talking about that then, what does it take for you to have a successful brand on social media and, to actually leverage all of it and make money?
Well, the #1 most followed person in the world now is Taylor Swift.
She's 50 million?
Something like that. Round about there. I can't remember. It increases every single day. She's beat Beyonce and she's beat Kim Kardashian. And why? Because she's been authentic. She's been authentic to who she is, her brand. Everything she's doing right now, you will see it, but in a very strategic kind of way. So she has a little pet meerkat or something, and she plays with the meerkats all the time, and, so it's not just a cat, it's a meerkat. What is the most popular videos on YouTube? Cat videos. So she's kind of being smart about what's actually happening and then incorporating it with what she's doing.
Yeah, but also when it comes to celebrities, they are obviously, they have a little bit more pressure. They need to be extra careful in terms of what they say on social media, right?
Definitely. There's a lot of cases and lots of instances where a celebrity might say something that might harm them, might harm their own reputation, might harm their brand reputation, might harm the sponsors that have, assisted them to get where they are, their reputation. So people in general need to be mindful, as Emma was saying, like they need to be mindful of what they're doing. But I think it comes back down to exactly what you want from your life. You need to consider yourself a brand. You need to look at yourself and say, okay, if I want to be this particular person in 10 years, in 5 years, in 3 years, tomorrow, what am I posting online that I want people to talk about when I'm not around? So that's what you should actually be thinking about. Do you want people to see how amazing your life is in terms of your kids or traveling or your job, or what are you trying to build? What is the kind of message you're trying to portray out there?
Yeah, but bringing it back to then celebrities, what happens then when a celebrity goes on social media, posts something that is not necessarily aligned in terms of the brand that they represent?
Yes.
What happens?
Well, then we kind of see who you really are, So you go on a Twitter rant, and we kind of see that this person is actually really aggressive. This person is egotistical. This person might be very, ostentatious or whatever it might be. But they need to actually then take that responsibility again. And also what the difficult thing with a celebrity is that because they've got such a massive following, they have the ability to influence so many people that will also think that that behavior is okay. So the more that you go and you say, this is fine, I've made so much, I've done this, I've, you know, who is that person to tell me X, Y, and Z, whatever. That in your school communities, in a working environment, wherever it is, those individuals that follow that particular celebrity are going to be like, oh, well, it's fine. I can treat this person the way that person's treating that person on social media.
So with that said then, how important is it for personalities or celebrities or, you know, famous people online to have then a, you know, a reputation, social media reputation management or a strategy?
Well, yes, that is very, very, very important. And that's why I have a business at the moment. So it's very important because number one, you're trying to tell people what you're about. People will see you on TV, they'll hear you on radio, whatever it might be, see you in a movie, but they don't understand who you actually are as a person.
Got you.
So that is your way in which you can actually show them that, hey, I'm not this annoying person that is on, you know, whatever TV show. I'm not this kind of, you know, I'm not that actress, I'm not a villain. You know, imagine if Ntigi had an Instagram account, people wouldn't have, you know, been so hectic back in the day of generations and that kind of thing. So, you know, you need to just understand that particular thing, your social media presence portrays what you want the world to see. So from a celebrity point of view, it needs to be brought to a strategic place that whatever you post attracts the brands that you want. So if you're going to post, you know, a BMW and you're really excited about it and you've just bought your first BMW or an Aston Martin or whatever, why are you going to endorse something, a smaller car?
So let's say then your company is representing a celebrity that went on social media and said something very bad. Then what would be your first steps in trying to clean it up for you?
I go with it, if you mess up, fess up. So if you've done something wrong, you need to admit that you've done something wrong and you need to apologize and then move on. And people actually like that a bit more because it's not like you're making a fool of them, you know? Like you're actually saying, listen guys, I'm human, I've done this, I'm really sorry. Do the meetings that you need to do to clean up the brands and you know those kind of things. Make sure your jobs are secure, and then apologize to your fans. Because your fans are following you for a reason. They like you. They feel that you're authentic. They feel that you're the real person. So
it goes back to what you said earlier on in our interview. But Jared, thank you so much for being here. After the break, we'll continue the conversation around social media with our experts. And Bonnie gets busy in the kitchen with a no-bake creme brulee. Don't move.
Sustainable fishing that leaves fish for the future. Are you with us?
Welcome back. You're still watching Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3, and do remember that we love interacting with you. We're chatting social media today, so hopefully you are on social media right now at Afternoon Chat and using our official hashtag Afternoon Express.
Now, social media is so ridiculously powerful. If we have to look at recent events in South Africa, just in terms of the hashtag Fees Must Fall, how quickly news can spread and how quickly people can have an opinion. It's insane.
It really is. And I think, you know, what is amazing is how what happens online has such a serious real-world impact. I think we're still fighting the denialists who think that what happens online stays online. You know, that this is the different world and it has no serious reality for what goes on in the real world, and particularly generational issues. You know, people who are a little bit older maybe don't necessarily get social media. The younger children, the online world is the real world. There's absolutely no difference. And we've seen a lot of international examples of where one person has tweeted one thing and it's had a serious real-world impact. I'm thinking of the Associated Press Twitter account, which had admittedly nearly 2 million followers at the time, but they tweeted that there had been a bomb blast in the White House and that Barack Obama had been injured.
Yeah, I remember
there was
that
$20 billion of shares traded on the stock market in 1 minute.
Okay, but who tweeted that and why did they tweet it?
Well, it turned out that it had been hacked. There was a terrorist organization which claimed responsibility for the tweet. Now, I think a lot of people looked at that and said, well, you know, it's the Associated Press. Of course it had the worldwide impact that it did. Nearly 2 million followers. But remember Justine Sacco?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
That woman does never get on an airplane.
Well, there was. I mean, there was a lynch mob waiting for her at Cape Town International. You'll remember she tweeted, going to Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding. I'm white. The hashtag Has Justine Landed Yet was the #1 trending topic in the entire world. Do you know how many followers she had when she tweeted that? 170. you know, I think a lot of times people think nobody's listening, that you can treat you can treat the internet like a diary, and nobody's going to read it.
She was fired.
She was fired immediately. I mean, she didn't even know it because she was still on an airplane.
She was fired while she was in the air.
But the most
sorry to interrupt. She was actually a publicist, so she should have actually known better. And this is going back to our point where people don't have the training. They don't understand that actually this is something that needs to be taught in universities and at school level now, that you can't say these kind of things.
And you're not anonymous.
Exactly.
Do you know what the most amazing consequence of the Justine Sacco tweet was? She worked for a company called IAC. Now, IAC is a listed company in the US. They own Tinder, they own The Daily Beast, they own Vimeo, and they acted quickly. They released a statement. They pretty much did all you can do when an employee goes so rogue on you. They released a statement saying we've totally dissociated ourselves from her comment, particularly because she was the publicist. She was a spokesperson. We totally dissociate ourselves from her comment, not the views of the company, and she's been fired. Do you know, even though they acted as quickly as they did, the share price of the company plummeted. So the idea that one rogue tweet from one rogue employee can affect not just the reputational concerns of a company, but the financial concerns is startling.
How do you recover from something like that?
Great
like, where is that Emma Sacco now? I doubt she's holidaying in Cape Town anytime soon.
You know, there's been a fascinating book written about her by a guy called John Ronson, and it was called, I think it's called You've Been Publicly Shamed. And it just takes the other approach. I mean, she basically didn't leave her house for a year. She suffered the most terrible post-traumatic syndrome. And she talks about what it was like to be the victim of this digital vigilante mob, you know, this public shaming bonanza. And I don't know if you've watched the TED Talk by Monica Lewinsky, which is a brilliant TED Talk. You must watch it. And she talks about how she was the last person who, before social media, who was publicly shamed. But can you imagine if that had happened in the age of social media, when every single person has a voice and is able to express an opinion?
And I mean, Willie, how do you then psychologically deal with that? If you are, you know, being thrown at and being trolled and being bullied, psychologically dealing, that could be very traumatic. What do you do? Where do you even start trying to get over something like that?
Yeah, I think it is the example you used about the can equate that to cyberbullying, and I think the essence to being humiliated publicly, I wonder how one stands up from that, how one gets your stuff together and move on. So I think it would probably just be the ability to integrate and to get over things and move on. But
it's the same as when you get like 40,000 tweets of everybody telling you how amazing you are, and you get one bad one from somebody telling that you look fat in your skirt.
One bad one, exactly. But we're going to continue this conversation a little later. Let's just check in with Bonnie. We're making something very delicious and easy. Creme Brulee. Take it away, Bombizzle.
Thank you. Great conversation in our loft today. But if you're in Durban this weekend, then make sure you head down to the Good Food and Wine Show at the Durban Exhibition Centre. The show starts on Friday and ends on Sunday, the 1st of November, with international celebrity chefs, delicious fine dining dishes, and award-winning wine. It's definitely the place to be this weekend. And make a stop at the SABC Theatre, where some familiar faces from the SABC family will be doing their thing. Tickets are available at CompuTicket at the cost of 90 Rand per adult, and children under 12 get in for free. Now, back to what's happening in our kitchen. Now, we've made creme brulee a few times before on the show, but none quite like this one. Chef Nathan's recipe is a no-bake version and has an ingredient that I certainly am not familiar with. It's called agar-agar, right? Yes. But what do I recognize here is Selati custard snow, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Chef Nathan, welcome to our loft.
Thank you.
Right, so how are we making our no-bake creme brulee?
Okay, so the first step is to get our cream on the heat. So we place our cream on the heat, and then we're just gonna...
Is this just fresh cream?
Just fresh cream.
Okay.
No regular heavy cream. We're gonna add our agar-agar, which is...
What is agar-agar?
Agar comes from seaweed, and it's just transformed into a powder. It's a setting agent that helps anything to set from, you know, like
almost
we're doing
like
the brulee.
guillotine.
Yeah, similar to gelatin, just a little bit more powerful.
Okay.
So we're going to bring that to the boil. In the meantime, we're going to add our sugar to our egg yolks. So we're going to add all that.
Now, the lovely thing about Selati custard snow is that it's smoother, right?
Yes.
So it's easier to dissolve.
Yes, it's a lot finer.
Yeah, I am paying attention in this little kitchen of ours.
So, okay, once that hits the boil, we're going to add it straight to our egg yolks and sugar mixture.
Okay, so should I add it there?
Yes, you can add it all to there.
Perfect.
You can just add it straight in all together.
Slowly or gradually?
Gradually, and then keep stirring while you're adding the cream.
Okay. Is it fine if the agar is a bit lumpy in there? Or was I supposed to stir quicker?
Yeah, you're supposed to stir a little bit quicker, but it's fine because it will dissolve in the mix.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. And then you just keep stirring so the egg doesn't scramble inside the mix. Yes.
Because of the heat, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last thing we do is going to add the gelatin. This just helps it a little bit, gives it a smoother texture.
Okay.
So we're going to stir that in until the gelatin melts.
Wonderful.
And then we're just going to strain it into a dish, and then it needs to set for an hour. And you can do as you please from there.
In the fridge or just?
You set it in the fridge, in the cooler, and then for about an hour, and from there you can cut it into any shape you want.
Okay, perfect.
So we're just going to strain it through it's called a chinois. It's a fine mesh strainer. So we're just going to pour that right into our dish.
Okay, well, is this a particularly special strainer?
Yes, it's a lot finer and catches everything.
Everything,
yeah,
okay.
So any little, let's say there's an eggshell that you missed or anything like that, it will catch it.
It'll catch it.
Yes.
Perfect.
So from there you just set it, and then what I added with the dish is I just added some strawberry puree.
Yes.
Fresh strawberries, and then some edible flowers.
Okay.
And then the little white you see is white chocolate. So then I'm just going to finish it off with some of the strawberry puree that I made.
And did you use a little cookie cutter to make a circle?
Yes, I used the cookie cutter. You can cut it in square, rectangle, whichever one you feel like.
Whichever way you want. Okay.
I always say food is personal, so make it personal.
Yeah. And of course, go to our website, afternoonexpress.co.za, for the full recipe and shopping list. Okay. So is there a way of getting this?
We can just shake it. And you don't need every single drop.
Thickened at the bottom, yeah.
So that's perfect. The rest you can just discard.
All
and
right.
that's it.
Awesome.
Very simple. This way is easy to do because when you bake it, you normally scramble it. Or you tend to scramble it.
Right.
So it's kind of an easy way to do that.
Okay, and do you use a little blowtorch for the top?
The top, we just add some sugar, and then we blowtorch it until it caramelizes.
Okay, it looks absolutely lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All the details are on our website. Let's see you after the break.
Another delicious recipe brought to you by Selati Sugar. Always good, always sweet.
Fresh Pack. Goodness comes naturally.
Welcome back. This is live on SABC3. This is Afternoon Express, and today we're chatting all things social media. We did get a question from Valentine Letlogonolo Mulifi. Thank you very much. And she wants to know, how does one report cyberbullying? I'm going to throw that one to you.
Well, I think if it happens at school level, the first point of call would be to report it to the teacher or the counsellor or the principal. I think it must be dealt with internally if possible. If it's become very vicious, if it's really having a big impact, you can explore getting a protection order under the Protection from Harassment Act. It's a brilliant new law. It's available for children. You can go off to the magistrate's court without any kind of legal representation. You fill in a form and they give you a protection order. And if that person so much as sends you an SMS again, they'll be arrested. Often it's difficult to find out who's behind.
Amazing.
Correct.
Gotta use it.
Watch,
half the country is going to can't wait.
You have to show that there's harm, though. So it can't just be somebody bugging you. You've got to show that there's emotional, mental, psychological harm. It can be physical harm or a threat of harm. And then the other thing I think would be to report it to the social media companies themselves. You know, when you block a user, you're always given an option. Why are you blocking this person? So if you're being bullied, I think the first point would be to block that person so they can't carry on. If they start creating fake accounts, report those accounts and then tell somebody. And especially with children, you've got to tell somebody because these issues are so big. And the harassment is so awful.
It's amazing the impact that it has on you. Like, one wouldn't think that it would be like it's some random person that you've never met who's got an opinion about. But it's amazing how, I've obviously gotten a few. We've all been trolled. But once this guy started sending me dodgy pictures, and I was properly upset about it.
I have a friend that lost a baby sister to suicide because she was bullied so much on Facebook that it started affecting her. And then, you know, a couple of weeks later, she took her life, and this was a 14-year-old girl.
And we talked earlier about how often it's anonymous, faceless, so people say worse things. But the other two reasons why it's got so much worse, because bullying's always existed, right? Is that it's public. If somebody had called you something horrific at school, the only people who would have known were the 5 people listening. Now everyone sees it, and it's permanent. The torment of 24/7 bullying. And particularly because a lot of these children, we've been speaking a lot about it this afternoon, a lot of these children have full-time access to these devices. You know, I know of children as young as 8 who have their cell phones next to their bed when they go to sleep at night. There is no reason that children should be sleeping with their cell phones next to their bed. They need to escape, because even if you were being bullied non-stop at school, you could still go home at the end of the day, get out of your school uniform, forget it for the night or for the weekend, and now the bullying follows you everywhere.
If you're a parent, do not give your kid a cell phone at the age of 8, please.
Yeah, all right.
We also have a question from Lee Bridget Khatle. She says, how safe is it to post your location on social media, like where you're going or where you're at?
Yeah, that's such a good question.
Celebrities do that. I do that all the time. Like, darling, off to London. Boarding pass.
It is actually kind of really silly to do that kind of thing, because
it's not safe as well.
Again, as we said, the trolls, those guys that actually look for you and they stalk you and that kind of thing. I think from a celebrity level, there's something like a stalker does exist. You even have one. A normal person has one.
True.
So there's lots of instances where we've heard stories, horrific stories in the news where, you know, people have been stalked and then it led to somebody actually dying at the end. So from a point of, like, just don't do it, or do it later. Like, later on, when you have actually left.
Do you know sometimes you have the option, and people don't know, to switch off location?
Yes.
Where you are,
should
right?
location services for all apps except for Uber and for Google Maps.
That's it.
Those are the only ones.
And for the Find Me, in case you
you
do get kidnapped.
Find My iPhone. And I think, you know, particularly if you've got an iPhone, you should go into your, and we can do this exercise in a moment, go into your settings, go to privacy, go to system services, and turn off frequent location.
Switch off everything.
Now, Emma, I've got a winner for your book. So the competition for Emma Sadlier's book is officially closed, and we've chosen a winner. Congratulations to Dominica Arendse from Cape Town.
Absolutely, congratulations,
This is yours.
Yeah, make sure you join us again for Afternoon Express tomorrow. And tune in early, because of the first 15 minutes of the show, we chat to the inspiring sister Abe from about her biography, Empty Hands. And in the kitchen, we're making maple and mustard chicken wings with buttery chipotle and lime sweet corn. But let's get eating, yeah? Jared, William, Emma, thank you.
Please.
That looks amazing.
This looks fantastic. Thank you for watching back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. right here on SABC3. Good night. Mwah.
Ciao, happy eating.
Coming up tomorrow on Afternoon Express, Morne Visser, lead actor of Dis Ek Anna, joins us on the couch to chat about this controversial new Afrikaans film, and we take a look at the inspiring memoir of Zulu nurse and healthcare activist Sister Abigail Nkleko.
Another feel-good production.
Hi, YouTubers. Thank you so much for watching the show. Be sure to not miss another episode by clicking subscribe right over there. And we'll see you every day. Afternoon Express. Enjoy.